Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people. Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good morning, it's the Workers Beat. 972-647-1893 is the number. My name is Gene Lantz, and I'm with
Bonnie Mathias. Number's 972-647-1893.
Boy, is there a bunch of stuff going on, because this is Labor Day weekend.
Yay!
Hope you didn't leave town. I hope you're in Dallas ready to do Labor Day stuff.
That's
Because
right.
it's starting in an hour. You should get on your horse right now, in fact, and get over to 549 East Jefferson. That's Oak Cliff Methodist Church, where they're starting with a hearing on raising wages and how the faith community can kick in. At noon or so, they'll start the march down Jefferson Street, starting from 549 East Jefferson, and then they'll come back at 12:30 or so for a picnic and rally on Labor Day, and that'll be great. The Pan-African Connection is doing a Labor Day, honoring Labor Day today at 3 o'clock. They're showing a movie called Struggles in Steel, which should be very good because there were a lot of race issues in the organizing of steel back in the 1930s. There will be a free speech forum tonight on Labor Day, past, present, and future. You should go to this even though I'm the speaker, because there will be lots of other nice people there, and I intend to stay out of the way as much as I possibly can. So be there if you can. That's at Barbeck's Restaurant at 6 o'clock. And the address is 8949 Garland Road in Dallas. I think they want you have to buy dinner if you're going to go there. Okay, and then the Labor Day breakfast will be Monday with Senator Letitia Van de Putte as the main speaker. Contact Pam Resendez to get your tickets, and her number is 826-4808. I'm going to give you Rosemary Rieger's number too, because I think the second number is a cell phone, and I doubt if Pam is at the office during the weekend. Rosemary Rieger is at 214-632-5695. It's 214-632-5695. The Labor Day breakfast will be held at the Hampton Inn and Suites, 1700 Rodeo Drive, Mesquite, Texas 75149, and that's at 8:30, right? Bonnie, 8:30 on Monday for the Labor Day breakfast.
Yes, sir, 8:30, and I don't know if
they're going to serve breakfast at 9, so you got to be there at 8:30 to sign in and everything.
Right, and I'm not even sure if there's any tickets left, quite frankly.
Really? They sold out of tickets?
I'll have to text and find out, but I think so.
Well, you can call and find out yourself at 214-632-5695. Later that day, on Monday, the Democrats are holding their 17th annual Labor Day picnic at the usual place, the Catholic Czech Club, 4930 Military Parkway in Dallas, 75227. And that's a bunch of stuff to do for Labor Day. Starting right now, though,
that's right.
Go over to 549 East Jefferson, the Oak Cliff Methodist Church, and start doing Labor Day stuff right away. And it's going to be cool. And I am so proud of the Dallas Voice, which is also known as the Gay Magazine, but it's
LGBT
Magazine. They have a Labor Day issue, working toward equality, and they've got a picture of Rosie the Riveter on front, and they've got a section on celebrating LGBT members of unions in our area, and they've got a list of them here. There's 5 of them. You would be surprised. I mean, most workers would not do that. Most workers would, if they were gay, they would keep their mouth shut about it on the job, wouldn't they?
But a lot of them.
If you have a union, you've got protection.
That's right.
So you can be who you are.
That's right. And my friend Mike is right in the big middle.
Right in the big middle of it.
That's my man. That's Big Mike.
There's 2 of your union members listed in here. Bonnie.
All right.
So I'm proud of
Wow.
the Communication Workers of America because a member of the union can be who they are and
That's
do
right.
what they want, within the bounds of the contract. But you're protected if you have a union. I
This is
don't
very
know
nice.
if people should call 972-647-1893, because if you don't, I'm going to read a Labor Day statement. 972-647-1893.
Hurry and call.
1893. Well, it's not my statement.
Oh,
It's not my statement. This is from the president, Larry Hanley, of the Amalgamated Transit Union. Those are the DART drivers.
right.
We have Local 1338 here, and salute to them on this Labor Day weekend.
Absolutely.
I know they're having trouble because the company, DART's, trying to take away their health care.
Imagine that.
And they are fighting together to hang on. So this is from your International Union President, Larry Hanley, and he says, this weekend we will celebrate Labor Day in the United States and Canada, a day most people think of as nothing more than time off for picnics or a last trip away with their friends and family.
Or buying furniture and stuff, yeah.
Unfortunately, a growing number of people who have the day off won't be happy about it because it will be a day they don't get paid. For them, having the day off means that they will have less to eat, will have to delay a trip or skip a prescription refill, and many others still remain without a job. Many of those with jobs are forced to work more than one full or part-time job with irregular hours and no job security, like at Walmart, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just to get by. They are all but invisible, yet they are all around us working long hours for minimum wages, maximizing profits for their wealthy bosses. Well, I'm sure he's talking about Walmart now.
I'm sure. I can't think of who else.
Going on with the Labor Day statement from ATU International President Larry Hanley, he says, these are the working poor who endure the very same conditions that gave rise to the labor movement in the 1800s. No paid vacation days, no sick days, no consistent work rules, poor safety, and no employer-provided health care. Labor Day is also a time to reflect on all of the hardships that were endured by those who fought and died so that we could enjoy the fair fruits of our labor. But by solely focusing on the past, we risk seeing the labor movement as a vestige of history, something that was great in its day but of little relevance in the 21st century. That suits the enemies of working families just fine. The more we think of trade unionism as some sort of quaint artifact of an earlier era, the freer they will be to exploit workers who don't even know that there are labor laws in place to protect them. Some people believe that unions are no longer necessary, but even a minimal understanding of the growing income inequality in our countries makes it abundantly clear that workers need to act forcefully now to stop the erosion of their ability to earn a living wage. The glue that keeps our nations together, the middle class, has all but disappeared. And this is not simply an economic issue for those who find that they can't pay their bills, no matter how hard they work. Human dignity is under assault, and our nations ignore this at great peril. If we learned anything from the recent racial strife and civil unrest in Ferguson, Missouri, and I'm not sure we have, it's that you can't treat people like they are less than human for very long. If we don't start providing citizens with real economic opportunity, Ferguson will happen over and over again all over America and even in Canada. And so this weekend, I suggest that rather than reflecting on the past, we focus on tomorrow and the opportunity working people have to build a movement to rise up and challenge the growing classism in our society. The future of our children depends on it, and I hope we seize that opportunity. So that was pretty cool.
That's very good.
From the president of ATU. You see there's a lot of similarities between the statements that the different labor leaders make.
There are.
They don't want us looking back too much.
No, because we can't. We can't take the time to look back because we have too much at stake right now. We have to look forward, and we have to organize. We have to. I mean, the most important word for the working class, the most important word is solidarity. We have got to be solid, together, organized. You just opened the newspaper, and here we have this article in the today's business section. Work week equals 47 hours.
Yeah, we thought everybody was working a 40-hour week. Not true at all.
So everybody's working an extra pretty much 45 minutes a day, right?
And that's not even counting the fact that the article goes on to say that the number of people holding part-time jobs has gone up dramatically.
Because they're working 2 part-time jobs because they can't find a full-time job. That'd be my guess.
It was 50% of workers that wanted a full-time job had a full-time job before the recession. Now it's down to 43% because so many are forced to work overtime. I mean, forced to work
2 jobs.
Forced to work part-time, and which really isn't part-time because they may have more than one job.
Right.
And but the part-time workers, they don't come under federal law for overtime pay.
Right.
And they don't get benefits, they don't get health care and that sort of thing. So this dramatic rise in part-time work is one of the real crimes that has been committed since 2007. We're not talking about old crimes here. We're talking about new crimes.
No, this is brand new. This is this right here in the, one of my union brothers, I know he can't hear me because he's in East Texas. He posted something on Facebook a little while ago. I'd like to read it all, but I'm not going to. He talks about how he gets a lot of grief for being in the union. People saying the unions are the ruin of this country.
Yeah,
we're the
that's
cause.
What the bosses want you to
right.
do.
We're the cause of the unions are the cause of all the economic woes and problems. And he goes on and he has a good union job. And he has his share of problems in his union, but we all still work together. And as he drives by Burger King, watching Americans stuffing their face, and Burger King is now purchased a company in Canada and is moving most of their corporate location to Canada to avoid paying taxes in the United States.
They call it divestment or something.
Yeah, whatever. We know what it is. It's thievery.
Right.
It's theft. It's theft of you're giving them your money so they can take it, not pay taxes on it, and spend it outside the country.
Yeah. And I want to point out, too, this is not just because bosses are venal. All bosses are venal. You have to give it.
That's why they're bosses.
That's a starting point.
That's why they're bosses.
They would not be bosses if they were not out to rob you.
That's right.
They wouldn't be able to hold on to their jobs. So starting from that, this move that corporations are making from town to town, country to country, area to area, that's just the system itself.
Yeah.
The system itself is built that way and it's stacked against you. And it's not just because the bosses are rotten and lousy, because that's a given. All bosses are rotten and lousy. 972-647-1893 if you've got an opinion.
And we have to, and that's why as working families, not just union members, working families, we're the working poor. I mean, out there, I see folks, my neighbors, they work, oh my gosh, I don't know how many hours a week. Mm-hmm. And the wife keeps kids, she has a small little, takes care of a couple of infants during the day for ladies at work. And they're struggling. And it's not fair that somebody has to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week and still cannot provide for their family.
I want to point out something else that was in today's paper, Bonnie, because it's very misleading. First, I better give out the phone number, though, because you don't want to just hear Bonnie's and my opinions. We tend to agree with each other.
Right.
If you have an opinion of your own or an observation, 972-647-1893. The station really loves it when you call. There's another article in the business section of today's Dallas newspaper, Higher Incomes Bolster Index, which is what they're talking about is the index of confidence. They have indexes to tell them, just how confident people are feeling, and it's saying higher incomes are bolstering. And yet, 3 days ago in the Washington Post, it was revealed that salaries have gone down 0.9%. The average salary over the last year went down nearly 1%.
Wow.
So why are they saying higher incomes bolster index? Well, they're not talking about salaries. For you and me, when we say income, we mean
right.
wages.
Right.
We don't make that much money anywhere else, from betting or gambling or something.
Right. Not a gambler.
We make our money pretty much from wages.
Right.
And so our wages have gone down. Why are they saying higher incomes? Well, that's because the very, very wealthy are getting higher incomes. And it brings up the average. So if you're just talking about average income, it has gone up.
Yeah.
Because the wealthy people have made so much money hand over fist since 2007. But our part has gone down. And they don't even calculate our losses in benefits. They don't even calculate
Oh, yeah,
the fact
that doesn't count.
that most people don't have a pension anymore, and that people are losing their health care right and left, and the DART workers right now are fighting like the devil
To keep from...
try to hang on to their benefits and rights.
Benefits.
Those are negotiated benefits.
That's right.
Which are theirs. And when someone says, "Oh, we're not going to give you that anymore," what do you mean give it to us? You never gave it to us.
You don't give it to us.
That was ours.
That's right.
We took that. And what they're really saying is we're going to steal it. We're going to steal that from you now. 972-647-1893. Are we saying anything outrageous? Maybe we should say something outrageous. And
Like what?
And then people would...
Do we have to? I mean, how more outrageous can we get than telling you the truth of what is going on in this country? I am so... I
That's
can't.
the problem is that everybody agrees with us.
I know. Okay, somebody call who doesn't agree. Come on.
Well, no, you can call and agree.
Yeah, you can call and agree. Just call and talk to us.
972-647-1893.
And we want to make sure that everybody remembers to pay their pledge.
The article goes on to say higher incomes bolster index. So people are more and more confident. It says, and yet, Americans cut back their spending last month. So the latest statistics show that people are spending less. So I don't know where they get the idea that everybody's so confident.
I don't get it.
I think what it means is...
the rich people are more confident?
Yeah, the rich people are the ones making all the incomes, and the poor people who would like to spend their money are the ones that don't have any.
Well, they can't spend their money except on rent and mortgage and car payments and... You know, the necessities.
But very, very wealthy people, they can spend that stuff with just a tiny part of their income. The rest of it, unfortunately, they've just been sitting on.
Yeah.
And that's why
Trillions.
That's why the recession has lasted so long. That's why the unemployment has dragged on so long, and why the part-time work has continued to rise, and why the forced unemployment has gone on and on because the money's not circulating. It's being piled up at the big end down where the rich people live.
Yeah.
Call us at 972-647-1893. We'll be right back.
And
Here comes
Saturday morning. And Gene and Bonnie.
972-647-1893. The big day. This is Labor Day weekend stuff coming up. You have somebody on the line?
I do.
Bring them on. Bring them on. Good morning. Thanks for calling KNON.
Good morning.
Glad to hear from you.
Yeah, I just want to say I definitely like you guys' show, like what you're doing, and you didn't have any callers, so I wanted to call and support.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then I wanted to say, you can't have powerful without powerless. I read that a while back from Ingo Swann. So, they've got to have powerless people to stay in power, just as a general philosophy.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Got it.
And then as far as gaining some traction with employers, it's like, we have to stay unorganized for them to pull over whatever they're pulling over. I think the challenge for us and kind of what you guys stand for is, and what labor unions originally were doing, I suppose, was, getting organized and gathering everybody together, because that's where the power is in unity, So I just want to throw that in there. And then one criticism, since, I figured I'd agree and disagree both, since y'all were looking for either one, well, you made a statement about bosses. Every boss is horrible and lame. That sounded a little unfair, and that might turn some people off. I know that a lot of them are. A lot of them are, and because they go for that position because they're power hungry, so that does end up to be the case oftentimes, But I was the boss for a little while, and, I was the best boss that I had ever had. I'd never had a boss that was, good as people as I was to my people.
Why did it only last a little while?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm fishing for here.
Yeah, that's true. The boss loved me. That's right.
See, same here. I was a good boss, too. I was a great boss.
Yeah, I was actually a boss at one time.
You were a boss, too.
I had one employee in my janitor service.
But I can't... evidently, being a good boss is not is not enough to run a business, evidently, in this day and age.
There are bosses that are relatively good.
Yes.
There are some bosses that are a whole lot better than others. You know, there's a supermarket chain somewhere back east.
Yes.
Where all employees are striking, not for a union, not to be organized. They're striking because they want their boss back.
Yeah.
They
hired him back.
They
were gone. They were out for 21 days.
And they got their boss back?
All of the customers in the town took their grocery receipts from other places where they shopped and put them on the window of this place because they're closed. They can't open. Nobody will work for them.
Isn't that cool?
They got their boss back.
And they got their boss back. That is wonderful.
That's
the power
awesome.
of organizing.
Absolutely.
Well, some
beautiful.
Some bosses are relatively good. When I said all bosses are horrible, I just meant it.
Sorry.
I meant generically. I wasn't trying to slam any particular boss.
Yeah, you may be joking too. I mean, it's funny too. I mean, they're all horrible, But yeah, but it's almost like the system would weed out the good ones because then you're being too fair and you're
Sure.
I don't know, but anyway.
That's why they lost their boss. That's why they lost their boss.
Right.
The board of directors appointed somebody else to be the boss because this was a grocery store chain, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because the new boss was, they got somebody that was willing to cut the workers, and so they struck to get their old boss back.
Yep.
Well, thanks so much for calling.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you.
Ed's on line 3. Bring him on. Good morning, Ed. Thanks for calling KNON.
Yeah, good morning, Gene and Bonnie. Glad both of you are back in town today.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Good morning.
Ed, are you going to the celebration this morning?
Actually, I'm here a little bit early right now.
Oh, you're at the Oak Cliff Methodist Church?
Got some excitement going for this morning. This is always a great day during the course of the year where we get a chance to hear concerns for the workers, concerns actually for everybody, if everybody would be honest.
Sure.
And so that's great. Looking forward to the day. Did want to...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, the reason I called in is I was listening on the way over, and one of the things that you had mentioned about the letters that have come out from various labor representatives and execs, and the desire to focus on the future. And I would affirm that that's something that needs to happen. But also say that it's important to kind of keep a narrative going about the past because people need to be aware that there have been times when things were bad and people decided that they no longer would stand for being in positions where they had no power. And so at a place in time, in fact, several places in time, people did rise up. They did claim their power. And if it happened once, it can happen again. So I think the past is also important because people need to know that what's been possible at one time can be possible again.
Right
and that story needs to be told so that younger people get a feel for that to say, no, it hasn't always been this way. It doesn't have to always be this way. So it's not, it is about the future, but I think it can be about the future by also linking it to the past. I guess that's what I would lift up this morning.
Good point.
Good point.
The first part of the presentation this morning, or the first thing that happens this morning, has to do with whether or not faith-based people can help with the situation for low-wage workers. What's your opinion on that, Ed?
I am sure that's the case. One of the things that happens so often is the church, like all other institutions, and the same would be true of synagogues and mosques, that we also get caught up in the economic system, and we get convinced that our interest is best supported by supporting the structure as it is. And so we start believing that, and we forget to know the best thing to happen is for justice to be available to all the people. And then the system works for all the people, and faith people need to be taught that. They need to learn that. And that, I think at least in terms of the Hebrew scriptures, it's pretty clear over and over again that God always seems to side with the workers and their cries. And we forget that. We really do.
Are there any people in the past? You mentioned a while ago the history of labor and how people have fought to make things change. Is there anybody from the faith community that you particularly admire?
Well, of course, I think anybody who has any sense of more recent history and who lived through, I think the baby boomer population has a great respect for Dr. King. Sadly, people only connect Dr. King up with, the civil rights movement, and that was his primary impact. But, he was concerned about justice for all people. Yeah. And he was concerned about the workers in Memphis, the racism there, but also the conditions of the workers there. He was concerned about America's willingness to sacrifice a generation in a war that obviously had questionable ends, had questionable motives, and he challenged that at every turn. So, he was a supporter of, and what he did was to organize people.
Right.
I mean, that's really what he did, which is, as we know, the model that Jesus used.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So Dr. King is a really good one from history.
And we don't link him up with labor specifically.
Well, we do when he died. When he died,
yes,
he was working for the sanitation workers.
Yeah.
And I always say, when I'm talking with people, I always remind them that, the racism, which was a significant part of the movement there with the sanitation workers, that aside, that those sanitation workers in Memphis and their time and place, they were doing better than the sanitation workers of Dallas, who are pretty much privatized with no benefits, no workers' compensation, nothing.
Part-time workers.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
We had someone call last week with a vivid description of what it's like to be those guys on the back of the sanitation truck.
And people take that for granted. They don't think about it. They don't think about the person standing across from them when they get irritated at the fast food restaurants because they're not getting service on time, or they don't think about what those people make. We just don't think about the workers that serve us every day, who work for a living, sometimes work very hard for a living, and it just goes right past us that they have a right to a living wage.
That's right.
This is an inspiring message, Ed. I appreciate so much your calling, letting us know these things.
Hey, thank you for your work.
Thank you so much, Ed. We'll see you after a while.
So Ed is down at the the Oak Cliff Methodist Church, 549 East Jefferson, getting ready for the first of the Labor Day events they're going. There's 3 of them right down there this morning.
Yes. Yes.
First, there's a hearing.
The hearing.
And then there's a march.
Yeah,
the march is a really cool idea.
I know. It's great. I'm so happy it's not 108.
Yeah, it's what's it supposed to be today, 96?
Yes, something like that. It's supposed to be decent today. So last year it was 108, just so y'all know. It was
We had a really good march last year.
We did.
It was very well attended.
Yes.
Labor Day marches are unusual in Dallas, have not occurred, as to my knowledge, since the 1940s until last year. And we marched from the Oak Cliff Methodist Church last year. Or we marched to it. We started at the Texas Theater last year.
We did.
And this is something to get hold of. This is something people can do. And the good thing about this march, or one of the good things, is you can have your own contingent. Like, for example, suppose you're a Dallas Voice supporter, and boy, the Dallas Voice is just great today. It also mentioned, by the way, Ed was talking about people of faith that have made a contribution. Bill McIlvaney recently died, and he's got a very nice write-up in the Dallas Voice because one of the last things that he did to hit the newspapers, because he was always on the front lines all the way back before the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement that we think of started in 1954, but actually here in Dallas started in 1952 with at SMU with the integration of the religious school out there at 1952. And I don't know if Bill McIlvaney was in on that early, that long ago, but he was in on a lot of stuff since then on civil rights and anti-war and other stuff. And he officiated at the marriage of 2 guys. and they were going to defrock him for it.
Of course.
He ran into a terrible storm after he
Was
did
it
that.
the United Methodist Church?
Yeah.
Oh, shocking.
Well, they backed off. They backed off to their credit. So Bill McIlvaney died a fully accredited Methodist minister.
That's good.
But I hated that he died. We're going to miss him. And a lot of those guys around the Peace Center, you might pick on them for this or that, but you will never be able to fault them for courage.
Yeah.
They are the front lines, the shock troops on our side, being able to stand up for what's right.
I believe his funeral is the 8th.
Oh, it's not. They haven't had the funeral yet.
Right? No, they have not.
Do you have
or
any
maybe
idea?
it's a memorial. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's probably a memorial. Yeah.
Yeah, Pastor Stovall and I talked about it because
Mm-hmm.
he thought it was going to be Monday.
If somebody knows, they might want to call us 972-647-1893 and say something. Al's on line 3. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Hey, man, what's up?
Glad to hear from you.
How you doing, man?
All right.
Hey, I'm calling about what you said, about people's wages and stuff like that.
Going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I work for a very big company. I'm not going to say who it is. But you're right about that because, if you're in management, you have it made.
Yeah.
They'll
You
take
think-
care of you. They'll
think
take
so?
care of you.
Well,
Oh, yeah, I know. I see it every day. If
Don't-
you're in management or if you're a supervisor, you get very well taken care of. If you're just a worker, they don't care.
That's
They have
true.
meetings. They have meetings and say, well, we need to do this. We need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't benefit us. It benefits them.
That's right. That's right. I don't know if they have it made, though, because, bosses are scared to death.
Yeah.
Bosses are kept in real terror all the time by their bosses.
Yeah, but
Your foreman's going to have ulcers before you will.
yeah, because like I said, I work for a very big company, and they got people that just get promoted. They shouldn't really get promoted because there's been people that have been here longer than they have.
Yeah.
And like I said, if it benefits, when we have meetings, it's we need to do this, we need to do that. I know it comes from other people, but I'm saying it benefits them and it benefits their bosses, but it doesn't benefit us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're absolutely right.
And I'm saying, and people, complain about all this stuff, and I tell them, I said, well, you keep electing the same guy.
Good point.
Why do you keep electing the same president or the same vice president for the company? You keep saying, well, he's not doing anything for us. We need to get him out. I said, but when you vote to get him out, you don't get him out. You
Right.
put him right back to where he was. He's going to do the same thing over and over again.
That's
I said,
a good
look,
point.
Very good
I work.
point.
I work for a living. You work for a living.
Right.
These guys have a lot of them, have never come in with this company. They come from somewhere else. And they make good money. They make more money than we'll ever make.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And then, it's like this company made like a $390,000, for the month, which was a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they gave us?
What?
A Subway sandwich.
Wow, that was nice. Did you get tips too?
No.
No chips?
chips?
Sandwich.
What a
That's it.
freaking ripoff, man.
Yeah, $390,000 profit they made for that month, and they bought us lunch. They bought us a Subway sandwich. I told them, I said, you know what? I said, you need that more than I do.
Right? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, they do stuff like that. And
It's
you know
amazing how much bonuses are for bosses now.
Yeah.
What? Oh, yeah.
It's in the millions,
And it's, but not our first line bosses. Our first line bosses are the ones that we directly report to. They're pretty much getting the shaft just like we are, except they don't have a union to back them up.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've been working with this company a long time, and I used to do a lot of things for them. And we had a meeting, and it took us 3 days to get a quarter raise.
A quarter raise.
A quarter
raise. And then when they did that, they cut our hours.
No kidding.
Oh,
Yeah, because they didn't want to give us benefits.
Right.
Wow.
So they wanted everybody to work less than 40 hours?
Yeah, and like I said, I used to do a lot for this company, but now, I tell them, I look at them, I said, did you do this? I said, no.
Yep.
Why? I said, because you didn't tell me to.
That's
I
the
said,
way to
you're
do
the
it,
boss.
isn't it? That's the way it
Like,
is.
hey, yeah, you're the boss, man. I don't know what to do unless you don't tell me, you know?
It's
I
amazing.
mean, we
how-
used to have it here. Like, we knew exactly what we needed to do, what we wanted to do. Bosses didn't even have to tell us nothing. We had everything going straight. And then when we had this meeting and they gave us a raise, they cut everything down. They lost like 7 drivers.
Jeez.
Wow.
You know, and then they come to us and say, well, we can't do that anymore. You can't get on the truck and go check them out. And, okay, you know, we got like 4 trucks over there. I said, okay. How come you didn't pick them up? I said, well, you didn't tell me to.
You didn't
and
tell me to, right.
I said, by the way, it's time for me to go home.
Oh, yeah, right? I like that. Oh, yeah, look, it's quitting time. Bye-bye.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's amazing how much. It's amazing how much clout the workers could have, not by going on strike, but just by stopping helping.
Yep.
You know,
We call it work to the rule.
work to the rule. We're gonna make us take a break. We appreciate your call very much.
Thank you.
All right, man, y'all be careful. Y'all have a good weekend.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
you
sir.
too. Bye-bye.
What am I gonna do?
What am I going to do?
Should have been a banker. By the way, we said that Bill McIlvaney is going to have a memorial service, and here's where it is. It was in the Dallas Voice. A memorial service will be held at 2 p.m. on September the 8th at North Haven United Methodist Church, 11211 Preston Road. That would be just exactly who would do it, wouldn't it be? North Haven Church.
Yep.
They do so many good things.
Yes, they do.
So
Yes,
it's
they do.
11211 Preston Road at 2 o'clock on September the 8th. Let's try to make it.
A week ago, or a week from Monday.
Reverend Bill McIlvaney stood up
Yeah.
for us, and we should stand up for his relatives. And
You know, there's some good
Whoever's gonna
news
be there.
this last week.
let's hear it. I want to hear some good news because we've been telling all the bad
I
news.
know. Pennsylvania has decided to become the 27th state to accept the funds from the federal government to expand Medicaid.
All right.
Yay!
The big press conference yesterday on that top
Yes.
and my organization, the
Alliance,
Texas Alliance
yeah.
for Retired Americans, held a big press conference because the governor was in town, and he's the one that's blocking it.
That's right.
We could be getting $1 billion in help for the uninsured in
Yep.
Texas, and they just said no, we don't
no, we
want
can't
it.
do that, no.
Obama might have touched it, and he's black.
Yeah, and you know what happens when it's not good. The other good thing that happened,
Good news.
California Senate passed a bill guaranteeing at least 3 paid sick days a year
Good for them.
for about 6.5 million workers.
A judge here in Texas overturned the abortion law.
Overturned the portion that says,
So women are not going to have to drive 1,000 miles to go to a clinic.
of course,
As long as that holds up, the Republicans are saying, well, we'll get them at the Supreme Court.
Attorney General Greg Abbott has already made it clear he will be appealing that decision because he does not feel it is correct. This is not the first law that has been struck down as being unconstitutional when it comes to women's health rights. It really doesn't have a whole lot to do with abortion. It has everything to do with a woman's right to health care.
Yeah. Well, they haven't quite buried the women's movement. They haven't been able
No.
to throw enough dirt on it.
They can't.
But they sure are trying. You got to
Yes,
give
they are.
them credit for trying. They are doing everything they can to destroy women's rights in America. It's
Crazy.
too bad.
It is
But
crazy. It's awful.
Anyway, they got a little reprieve from the judge, so that was some good news. 972-647-1893 if you want to make a comment. Got your own little Labor Day statement you'd like to make. The Morning News ran one good letter. I think Ron Smitherman
Oh,
had
yeah?
a letter in the Morning News
Cool.
about Labor Day. That was good.
Excellent.
I don't know what else they will say because they haven't done much so far. But maybe they'll have a cover on like the Dallas Voice did with
Wow.
a big picture of Rosie the Riveter and a big Labor Day issue.
An updated picture of Rosie the Riveter. It's
really
pretty
good.
cool. It's a young woman with a polka dotted scarf on her head, and she's holding a pair of pliers in one hand.
Not exactly a do-rag.
Not exactly a do-rag, but it's
Silk scarf.
It's a silk scarf, but that's okay. Hey, women are different these days.
She's got a pair of pliers. She's got her beautifully manicured.
Yes, she has beautifully
Fingernails.
manicured nails.
But
She
she's
has
got a pair of pliers and a screwdriver.
That's right, and she's in the wonderful Rosie the Riveter pose. So, and we're still Rosie the Riveter. We just have on heels and skirts instead of do-rags and overalls.
I don't know if a lot of young people nowadays may not even know who Rosie the Riveter was.
That's very true.
So you better tell them.
Rosie the Riveter was became a symbol for women in the workforce during World War II, because all the men were gone, and they needed bombs and airplanes and parts.
There are lots of Rosie the Riveters right here because we had a big aircraft industry here.
That's right. We sure did.
So women took the jobs and ran the factories and all that. And the joke was to call them Rosie the Riveter.
Right. And they were, there was a series on FX, I think maybe, called Bomber Girls, which was very good.
Yes,
very
I saw
well
that.
done.
It was very good.
Yeah, very well done. And it was about the women who worked in the bomb factories. And that was a very dangerous job.
Yeah. But women's oppression was still very, very evident in that program.
Yeah.
It's just that it makes a qualitative difference when a woman can get a good job.
That's right.
And prior to World War II, women could never get a good job.
No.
And after World War II, a few women could get a good job. Right at the end of World War II, they fired a lot of them, laid them off. The plant that I worked at, which most people call it the LTV plant, it was North American Aviation during World War II, and they built, among other things, the P-40 and the P-52 and the Corsair,
wow,
which were important airplanes in World War II. But everybody got fired over the radio. This is a true fact.
Over the radio?
Yeah, I actually interviewed a woman that told me how it was working out there and what happened to all of the women that worked out there. The radio just announced, don't go to work this morning. And the few people that did go to work, like, for example, Pancho Medrano, he didn't listen to the radio. He ran out there. He lived in Little Mexico, and he ran all the way to Grand Prairie. He was a boxer.
Right.
And he would run at 15 miles out there to work.
Wow.
And guess what? It was padlocked.
Wow.
One day in 1945, they just padlocked the plant.
That's terrible.
And if you weren't listening to the radio and you went out there, you found the padlock. But if you were listening to the radio, you found out that you had been fired over the radio.
Wow.
So it was very, very hard for those Rosie the Riveters at the end of World War II.
Yeah.
But the change that they had made stuck to a large extent, and some women have decent jobs now, especially union jobs.
Union jobs. Yeah.
Every union that I know of has equality for women as part of their makeup.
That's exactly right.
And racial equality too.
Yes.
You can't discriminate and say this person's a woman, so they get $1 less, or something like that.
We all get paid the same. No, we all do. If I do the same job you do, I get paid the same as you do.
Yeah, but to a large extent, this is fairly recent because all the way through the 60s, even though they didn't discriminate on, for example, on sex, there were only certain jobs that the women could get, and those certain jobs had lower pay. For example, at the LTV plant, for a long time, the women couldn't get hardly anything except in wiring and upholstery. For
women
airplanes.
jobs.
Yeah. They called it women's work. And it wasn't until federal government forced them to open up. My wife was one of the first to go in the machine shop.
Good for her.
For example. And they took several women in the machine shop, and boy, they had to face a really ugly workforce from the backlash from the foreman and from many of the workers. It was very, very hard for women to get into what they called non-traditional work.
Well, isn't that wasn't Karen Silkwood? Weren't there a lot of
don't get me started
problems?
on Karen Silkwood.
Okay.
I was in love with her well after her death.
Sorry.
972-647-1893. Karen Silkwood worked in an atomic plant up in Crescent, Oklahoma, just a little bit above Oklahoma City, and she was a whistleblower.
Right.
She revealed that this stuff was unsafe. You can't just handle uranium. You can't be throwing it around and
you probably shouldn't.
Showing it to your kids and taking it to school for show and tell day and stuff like that, like they were doing in that uranium plant there in Crescent, Oklahoma. And she compiled a little bit of evidence and tried to bring it to the Union and tried to bring it to the New York Times and got killed.
She sure did.
So Karen Silkwood's one of the great women heroines of American history. because eventually she was vindicated, and it
was proven that what she was saying was correct.
Yeah, and the atomic energy people had to clean up their act, and we got a lot safer than we were.
Right.
Although I don't think we're very safe now with waste specialties piling up the uranium and other. They're actually going to start taking nuclear waste from nuclear power plants out in West Texas and just dumping it out there.
That's right.
And that's a contribution from Waste Specialties of Dallas.
Thank you so much. Yes.
972-647-1893 if you have a comment. If you'd like to just let us know what you think about Labor Day.
Yeah.
It's not just the sales.
Tell us what you're going to do to commemorate Labor Day.
And people are going to get Monday off. A lot of people are going to get Monday off. Not everybody. But the ones that do owe that to the labor movement.
That's right.
Now, that's not something the bosses came up with. Hey, let's just have a special day for labor and let them off work.
Yeah.
That's
great idea.
I think it was in 1890 that they decided to have Labor Day and to make it the first Monday in September. Now, prior to that time, most people considered May the 1st to be the International Labor Day, and it still is the International Labor Day everywhere else. Every other country in the world that I know of. For some reason, they picked the first Monday in September for Labor Day in the United States, and they held a Labor Day march. The first one was in New York City, and it was either a carpenter or a machinist. They were both named Peter McGuire, and people get confused as to which one of them it was that came up with the idea.
Wow.
But anyway,
we'll give them both credit.
In 1890, they started with that Labor Day march. There are pictures of it and drawings of it. They had a big turnout, and they've had a Labor Day march in New York City ever since then. Have you ever been to a real Labor Day march in Chicago or New York?
No, I'd love to go sometime.
They have contingents. That's the important thing, because see, here in Dallas, when we do a march or something, we're nearly always just a mob.
Right.
You can't tell one group from another, But in the big cities, they have a giant banner. Let's say they have a giant banner that says firemen.
Okay.
And then behind that, there'll be like 500 firemen.
Oh, wow.
And
That'd be so cool.
They might have their own band, their own bagpipe player, something like that. And then there'll be a little space, and then it comes another big banner. And another big banner will say water workers, or something like that. And then those workers will be behind that banner. The next one might be LBGT. And then they have their contingent. And,
that's pretty cool.
And it goes on. It's pretty long, but each group just has to agree with the people in their group. They don't have to agree with the whole march.
Right.
So I think that's so much better than the mobs. And I hope that today's march at noon today starts at Oak Cliff Methodist Church. I'm hoping that people will form contingents. So you find the banner that you want to support, the thing that you want to support. Like, if there's a CWA one for communication workers.
I'll be bringing the CWA banner.
Okay, so the CWA people should look for Bonnie in that banner and get in that contingent. And then there'll be another one that says, for example, might be one that says no war in Russia or something like that, or for war in Russia, I guess, but I think probably no war in Russia would be more likely.
Yeah.
And then if you agree with that, you get behind that banner.
That's right.
So each person gets behind the banner that they support the most. And that way you can build a gigantic march, and everybody doesn't have to agree on everything.
Right.
You don't have to support no war in Russia.
No, but we're all working families that we're talking about.
Another group might have no guns, and another group might have more guns.
Oh, jeez.
But you
get
to
those
pick
two
the
together.
one you want to march in. Well, they don't have to be together, see, because they're different
we'll put them
contingents.
on opposite ends. It's okay.
They're different contingents. You're doing fine as long as you stay in your contingent, and if you don't get behind the one with the horses.
Oh!
They used to let the horses in the Martin Luther King contingent, and the workers, we had a little workers contingent, and they put us behind the horses. So we had to be very, very careful where we stepped.
Right.
972-647-1893. Stay in your contingent and come to the march.
We have Pam on line 4. Good morning. Hey, Pam.
Yay!
Hey.
I'm fine. I'm perfect now, and just happen to be going through the great city of Dallas, and I'm a driver, and I just want to stand behind y'all, and I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing.
Appreciate that so much, Pam. Where are you from and where are you going?
I'm from Houston. I picked up my load in Laredo, and I'm delivering it Labor Day morning in Kentucky.
Wow, that's terrific. And you're one of the women that's got a job that women used to couldn't get, right?
That's right.
Well, I was one of the ones. Fortunately, my grandfathered me into truck driving when I was 17 years old because he was an owner operator and had a massive heart attack and couldn't do his job.
Wow.
So I went to work with him as a teenager and was able to help him out until physically he was able to do it alone. But at that time, the first vehicle I learned how to drive was an 18-wheeler. Most people learn on cars. I learned on an 18-wheeler.
Good for you. That's pretty awesome.
If it's not too private, you don't have to answer, but if it's not too private, do you make as much money as other truck drivers?
Absolutely not. I make 28 cents a mile.
Wow.
And other truck drivers, what do they make?
They can make up to, well, as a company driver, which is what I am, I'm a company driver. But company drivers can make up to 53 cents a mile.
Wow.
But I'm not paid anywhere near that in the company that I work for because we're considered a training company.
Oh.
Yeah.
They don't pay anything.
But they're not, are they discriminating against you because you're a female?
Yeah, they do to a certain degree.
So we have to fight that.
Right. Definitely, because I've asked for covers for my windows for when I go to sleep at night at the truck stops. I don't feel safe when people be able to lift into my truck.
Right.
So the truck that I was given, somebody had removed the covers from the windows.
What?
And
a woman needs covers, yeah.
Right. And I said, can I please, get some covers for my windows? And they said, oh, we don't have those. And I said, well, where do I get them? And I said, well, I need, he said, oh, we have to order them. I said, okay. Well, that was 3 months ago, and I've yet to see it.
This is not right.
No, that's not right.
Windows for Pam's truck.
That's right. Windows for Pam's truck. Windows for Pam's truck.
Well,
there's just a little Velcro covering. I mean, what I've been doing is just Velcroing towels up over it, and putting cardboard boxes in front of it to kind of block out the people's view so that you can't see in,
Well, we're real proud of you, Pam.
Yes, ma'am.
You're
Thank
holding
you.
what they used to call a non-traditional job. You're showing that women can do it. And I'm sure you have a great driving record, and I'm sure the company is making all kinds of money off of you.
Oh, yeah. They're making bukus bucks off of me. I was one of those people that were working. I was a single parent working a full-time job at night, caring for the elderly as a CNA, and then working days as a bus driver for the school district while my kids were still in school.
Wow.
And the school district for the last 3 years have cut our hours back so much that for me to continue my medical care would have cost me more than I made.
Oh, my gosh.
No kidding.
Oh, my gosh.
So now, is it better now driving the truck?
Well, I needed a full-time job with benefits that would give me something to pay my mortgage and utilities with.
Yeah.
And I was told that I'd be making between $1,000 and $1,200 a week if I went to their school and signed a contract that I would stay with them for a year, and be employed with them for a year. And that first year was very difficult because you sign all the paperwork the first day you're there. They guarantee you a job, but at the same time, it was like a cattle crossing, You get all these people coming through, sign here, initial here, and then you went on to the next phase. Wow. We didn't read the contracts until after our training program was over. And the bottom line was I either came up with $7,000 to pay them back, or they would pay I would only pay $2,000 to go to school and work for them for 1 year, making 17 cents a mile.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're proud of you for sticking to it, though. We got to go.
Oh, yeah.
We got to go,
Thank
Pam.
you.
We appreciate so much you're calling. We appreciate each other, me and Bonnie.
Yes, sir.
And
I'll see you in a little bit.
We appreciate you most of all for listening. KNON.
Happy Labor Day, everybody.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people. Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.